Call to order. Roll call.
Chris Fry,
Here.
Dave Kinzinger,
Here.
Richard Burke,
Here.
Tor Benson, Carly Byer,
Here.
Otis Marsh,
Here.
Yancy Nielsen. We have a quorum.
Do we have any amendments to the previous meeting's minutes from the 2nd, or from February 21st? And also we have the minutes from April the 18th. There are no amendments. Do we have a motion to approve?
I so move.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have any amendments to the agenda for this meeting?
I do. I move to amend the agenda to move the Part B under new business to the end of new business. That is the airport parking.
Okay. I'll make note of that here. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I so move. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have a public hearing for an application from Carol Jensen and Christine Nerose for a replat of Lot N located at 1001 Sandy Beach Road and a minor subdivision of Lot 10 located at 919 Sandy Beach Road. Do we have a motion to open the public hearing?
I so move.
A second.
Okay, the public hearing is open. Do we have any testimony on this replat? Hearing none, do we have a motion to open the public, or, we need to close that public hearing, wait a second. Do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
I so move. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to a public hearing for an application from Stan Malcolm and Karen Malcolm for a minor subdivision of Lot 7, the Mill Incorporated subdivision, located at 105 Mill Road. You have a motion?
I so move.
Second?
Second?
Do we have any testimony? Hearing none, we have a motion to close the public hearing.
I so move. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing for an application from Raleigh and Marcia Cook for a rezone of lots 14 and 15 located at 751 and 753 Mitkoff Highway. Have a motion?
I make a motion.
Second?
Second?
Okay, Brian, would you like to testify?
Yes, please, thank you. This is Brian Haas, testifying on behalf of the Haas and Newell families. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity. I'd like to ask you to please deny this application. The Haas and Newell families together own several lots in the area and adjacent to it. Together, we're the largest landowners in that area. We have hundreds of thousands of dollars in 10 years of our lives invested into our property. We're there to live a rural residential lifestyle. We feel that if approved, this request will have a negative impact on the quality of our life as well as the values of our property. I believe that the fairest, most appropriate development of the property is to adhere to the conditional use permit already approved. It allows for the removal of products while minimizing the impact on neighbors. And most importantly, it provides protection for us in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please come to the podium and state your name.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alex Schreimek. I live 759 Mitkoff Highway. I'm just south of the properties. I'm also speaking on behalf of Caitlin Duras, who also lives with me. We're opposed to this application, and for many of the reasons that Brian just said. We've invested our lives, and we're right next door, and we're not interested in having industrial zone projects going on right next door. So I feel like it's going to impact our lives and diminish the value on our property. So we are concerned. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am the applicant for this rezone. I wrote in my notice several of the reasons that I wanted to do this. One of them is simply that it will take a lot longer to do what I need to do with the conditional use permits. I can still do pretty much everything that I want to do with the conditional use permits. It just takes a lot longer and costs a lot more money. Rezoning this piece of property, which is already adjacent to a great deal of industrial property already, and it's never been used for anything but industrial use, will bring revenue, and actually quite a bit of revenue, to the borough. And in the future, jobs also, because I do intend to put a shop in there. Now, with the conditional use permits, I can put a shop in there. So it's rezoning. All rezoning it's going to really do is make it a little easier for me to do what I want to do anyway. The plan that I put forward is pretty straightforward as far as what Mr. Weaver had intended for it to be in the beginning when he got a hold of the property. And I don't think that it's going to negatively impact the area, as far as I'm certain that it won't drive any property values down in the adjacent areas. And I'm pretty certain that I can work with my neighbors as far as not making too much noise. But that being said, I definitely do not want to make enemies of any of my neighbors, but it's been a dream to come back to Petersburg and start a business and provide jobs for people, and I have the opportunity and the piece of property to do it. I would definitely like to rezone it to do that, in order to, for one, provide sand and gravel right here in Petersburg for both. Hopefully I can get spec for the airport, but I know I can get spec for the road sand. And also so I can put in a shop and start fabricating and building for people around here, because most of the fabrication shops around here are starting to talk about closing. And we need one badly, a new one. I intend to put one in, but the industrial would make it simpler. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Pat Weaver, and Mark and I bought that property in 1995 from Marvin Brown, and the other parcel from the city the following year, 1996, I believe. And the entire time we've had that property, it has been used for the purpose of mostly gravel, sand and gravel pit. It's never been used, it's zoned rural residential, but we have never used it for anything other than the gravel pit and storage of equipment and other projects that have gone on there. There is a caretaker that lives out there, so I don't know if you could argue that being residential or not. However, from my understanding, talking to Raleigh and Marcia, their intent is to pretty much stay within the bounds of what we've used the pit for all along. So expanding on that a little bit with what they're wanting to do. However, it doesn't seem very much outside of what that property has always been used for. So even if it were to remain rural residential, it would curtail, I believe, what they're intending to do, their purpose for the property. It's kind of hard to see having so much of that land hauled away, it's kind of hard to see that as being residential house in there with all of that construction that has gone on in there. So my understanding with their keeping with what that property has been used for all along, there's also a letter from Mark that was included with your packet that he supports the industrial change or the industrial zoning, the change on the zoning with that property. I can appreciate the concerns of surrounding neighbors. If it were a rezone in the middle of total rural residential all around, that would be one thing, but there are properties that abut that are designated for similar purposes. So I hope you consider the use that Raleigh and Marcia are wanting to do. Thank you.
Do you have any additional testimony?
Ask questions? I guess to answer, I guess you got to go back to the speaker, but I was just wondering, are you planning on have a crusher sitting there, or what kind of work are you going to do?
I will crush there once. Not actually, probably won't crush there, but I'll have a screening plant there for about a month. But it has to be. It's $18,000 to get the screening plant here, just to get it here. So I want to bring it in for a solid month and go through everything that I can take out of there. I can go through in a month as far as screening it. So that's going to be the majority of it, but from then on, it's going to be loading trucks whenever it's needed. So I don't know as far as major noise there. That's probably the only thing that's ever going to happen.
Well, a crusher.
A crusher would, but there's not really any rock in there to crush. Everything that's in there is either drain rock, sand, or gravel.
So you're screening it.
Screening it, going through a big screen plant. But the screen plant is so expensive to get here, and I've got to clear it and get it ready to go, and then have areas set for stockpile, and it's going to take a month or more to get it all screened.
So,
but that's outside the conditional use permit.
yeah, I guess I just, I don't know if a person can have a special use permit to allow you to do something like that for a short time, and then it's over with.
Well, the future is what I'm looking at. Once that is cleared and leveled, it will be, I want to put in a manufacturing and fabrication shop. And that
What's that, welding and
welding, yes, well, building.
kind of like Ole's?
A lot like Ole's. A lot like Ole's, only I will be doing heavy equipment, rebuilding heavy equipment there for people too.
Hey, that's good, that's what I wanted to know.
Okay, thank you.
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
So now my understanding, and Liz, correct me if I'm mistaken, rural residential does allow for a shop, correct?
Most of the, I believe that the rural residential doesn't allow for the entire use of the property, though.
Right.
There's a large area of the property you cannot use or disturb with rural residential. And with the industrial, I can take out the maximum amount of use for that property that I can get out of it.
Right. Understand.
A shop would be allowed as an accessory use if there was already an existing residential in place, but that's really a personal use shop, not a business, commercial operation shop. That's a different.
And I didn't have the conditional use permit as it currently exists in front of me before the meeting. Does that permit address construction of a shop, or is it just for the removal of the material?
I didn't see construction of a shop in there. I just saw removal of material and a plan on, basically it's a reclamation plan with the intent of eventually getting to a rural residential type setting for it. But, so it covers gravel and sand excavation.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that part to it, and I saw the,
I didn't, I'm going to read it again right here, but I didn't see that.
okay.
To my knowledge, there was nothing in there that had anything to do with a shop.
Okay.
And with the rural residential, like she said, you can't do an actual commercial shop there.
Right. That's all I have. Unless anybody else does?
I guess I was wondering a little bit how big a piece you are and how much of it you're going to take up, whether you've got space between the adjoining property or...
There's a creek between the adjoining properties that you can't get anywhere near. I'm not sure what the distance I can get to that is, but there's a large stream between the two of us that creates quite a buffer zone, and I have no intention of taking down the trees between the two properties. It's just the trees that are on the sand pile itself.
So when I kind of looked at it a little bit, I drive by it all the time.
Right.
The sand that you'd be excavating is between where all the treasures are kept and Twin Creeks. Is that where
No, it's straight back.
Straight back.
Straight back behind the equipment that's there.
and
Treasures, as you call them.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Because they've been there for a long time.
Yeah, I know. My understanding. Okay, so the part that you'd be actually excavating is straight back from where the original pit is at, then.
Yes.
So.
It wouldn't go toward the Twin Creeks any further.
Okay.
Unless James wanted to do that at some point.
And then what about towards the other side where Alex's property is at?
I can't go that way because of the creek. It's already, I think it can come down about 8 feet in there. The map, the layout there kind of shows it, but it goes down about 8 feet out through there, but it doesn't, I can't go any further that direction.
Yeah, I kind of, when I looked around there, that's kind of what I observed. Okay.
I guess I wouldn't mind going out there and look.
Right.
And see what you're doing.
Nothing at this point.
No, not, and we could
Storing equipment.
get a better idea exactly what's going to happen. And
Right. Now, if in the future James decides he wants to do something with his, because the majority of the sand in that area is on his property, if he wants to do something with it, then it's already his own industrial, and he will. But that's neither here nor there. That's
yeah.
So if I understand correctly, you're just going to basically be removing the sand that's there, it's not going to be like an ongoing sand pit. It's something that's going to have a life of 20 or 30 years. It's like,
No,
Very
there's
short.
47,000 yards is all that's left in there.
okay,
And that's, like I said, it costs so much to get that screening plant up here that I don't want to keep it here very long at $18,000 a month. I want it here, do the job and get it out of here. I'll have stockpiles there until it's sold, but once it's gone, then I want to get rid of it as quickly as possible so I have area in there to build my shop and store equipment.
okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris?
Please.
Yes.
I just wanted to add, I don't know the buffer zone, how far that is, but that is the creek which we get our water for our house from, which shares the border between the properties. And 1995 was a long time ago. So it's 2017, and I grew up in this town, and I've seen lots and lots of houses going up out where we're living. So things are becoming more residential out there, and it's things are different. It's not as it was. So, anyways, thanks.
Thank you. Do you have any additional testimony? Any commissioner have any additional questions? You have a motion to close the,
I guess I,
yes. You need to go, state your name, please.
I'm Caitlin. I own the property with Alec. With the change in industrial zoning, how does that change the hours of like operation? Well, does that mean that he can operate his equipment 24/7? So am I going to have to listen to that at like 11 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, that type of stuff?
Well, from what Liz is saying, under industrial zoning, they can operate 24 hours a day.
Okay. Well, I guess that would be a concern to me if I plan on starting a family and that's my home. I wouldn't want that kind of stuff going on all hours of the day and evening. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you.
I guess I am wondering if we can put some boundaries on work time and,
If we do industrial zoning, we can't.
yeah, but if we don't, we could, yeah, there may be other options, I guess is what
I'm wondering if maybe the better option is modifying the conditional use permit.
whatever it is.
Liz, I have a quick question. Can we modify the existing conditional use permit, or would they have to apply for a new one?
We're not noticed to modify a conditional use permit, so you'd have to reapply and we would renotice.
Thank you.
I'd also like to point out that every time we've tried to make a zoning change, the council has opposed it. Just put that in the back of our heads there before we spend a lot of time on this. I mean, they've been pretty adamant that they don't want to make any zoning changes. We spent quite a bit of time on several of them that they did not approve. So personally, I'd be reluctant to go for a zoning change just from that aspect. Of course, they have the option of taking this to the council.
We're kind of getting into discussion now,
Yeah,
so do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Yeah, I so move.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do we have any visitors' views related to agenda items? Any visitors' views unrelated to agenda items? Any report from staff? Nope, okay. No unfinished business, so we're on to new business. Consideration of an application from Carol Jensen and Christine DeRose for replat of Lot N located at 1001 Sandy Beach Road and a minor subdivision of Lot 10 located at 919 Sandy Beach Road. Do we have a motion to approve?
Go ahead.
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we need a roll call on that one, Karen?
Yes, Karen.
I'm still trying to get the motion. Chris?
Yes.
Yes.
Carly? Yes. Otis?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, we're moving to C, consideration of an application from Stan Malcolm and Karen Malcolm for a minor subdivision of Lot 7, the Mill Incorporated subdivision located at 1005 Mill Road. Do we have a motion?
I so move.
Second?
Second?
Discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call?
Carly? Yes. Otis?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes. Review of a recommendation for an application from Raleigh and Marcia Cook for a rezone of lots 14 and 15 located at 751 and 753 Mitkoff Highway. Do you have a motion?
I'd like to take this up in another meeting, figure something out that everybody can be happy with.
So I'll move to accept it, and then we can have discussion.
Okay, I'll second it.
Discussion.
I agree with Otis. I think we'd be wasting our time if we try and rezone, just based upon our past history.
I think a better approach might be to do a different conditional use permit. Because I don't think a rezone is going to fly, especially with the testimony that's been against it. And I think a conditional use permit could be framed to allow what you want to do, but also be able to protect the interest of the neighbors.
I agree.
Yeah, it'd be more.
Yeah.
So what I would suggest would be, I mean, just personally, that, you come up with a conditional use permit that would allow you to do what you want to do, but still satisfy the concerns of your neighbors. I mean, that'd be the best route to go on it. I'd be more inclined to support something like that personally. I mean, because I understand your guys' concerns, I mean, you don't want to have, and in a conditional use permit, we can put hours of operation, noise mitigation, maintaining buffers and maintaining the integrity of the stream, which has to be done anyway. But I mean, we can state it in there. All those things are possible with a conditional use permit, and then hopefully, you guys can work something out that would satisfy your needs as well as the neighbors' needs. Probably a better route to go than trying to do a rezone.
Yeah, I think there might be some limitations on what could be done under residential in a shop. There's definitely going to have to be a residence on the property to be able to qualify. But I think something possibly could work out. It might be something to sit down and discuss with Liz and see what might be the better avenue to handle this. But I don't think rezone is going to fly, especially with Borough Assembly, so.
Can I ask, Liz, is this possible?
Mostly yes. I think.
Mostly yes?
Mostly yes. I think when we sort of start to fall apart maybe is the fabrication, because at that point you're looking at, is this a home occupation, kind of situation? Because that's the kind of conditional use permit you'd be looking at is a home occupation. That's kind of an extreme home occupation. I guess we don't really, we could only have a 525 square foot home occupation, and there's no other mechanism to allow for a commercial business of that scale, I think, on rural residential. So I think the burrow pit and the, quarry type operations, we can make that work under a conditional use permit.
So let me ask a question. If it was zoned C1 or something different than, so what you're trying to say, for him to put in a shop, we'd have to have the property rezoned?
You're going to do manufacturing and fabrication.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would it have to be rezoned industrial, or would it be,
Well, C2 is manufacturing, fabrication of a light industrial nature. I would say heavy machinery probably does not constitute light industrial nature, so it probably needs to be industrial, yeah. But I haven't really thought about it in those terms, so that's my sense. Joe says he agrees.
Well, I'd say the other thing we could do is we could just punt and just because they'll ultimately be making the decision anyway to the assembly.
Yeah.
Instead of us spending a lot of time on something and.
yeah.
Us denying the request automatically sends it to the assembly.
That's correct. Right.
Actually, technically, either way, it goes to the assembly. So
Either way, it goes-
You're
Right,
just
either way
making
it
a
goes to
recommendation. Yeah, for rezone, the assembly is the one that's going to make that decision either way.
Right. So it's going to go there anyway.
Yeah, you can't really
You
punt.
can't punt.
Oh, come on.
You have to make a play. Yes or no?
No, I understand that. We can, right.
But in the interim, until he's really ready to even consider building the shop, he's got all that sand and gravel to deal with. So a conditional use permit would be appropriate for dealing with the sand and gravel.
Yeah. Is there any way that conditions could be put on a property? This is the problem, that if we zone it industrial, there's basically no way to put any conditions that would protect the neighbors. So it's up to him just trying to get along with his neighbors. Whereas under a conditional use permit, we can't allow the industrial type use he wants under a conditional use permit. So it's kind of a catch-22 there.
But if we give him a conditional use permit to at least let him get the screener in, get the sand going, get things happening on that property, at least he'll have something that's happening, that's generating some income, that's getting the sand off the property. Sorry, Raleigh, go ahead.
Yeah.
And that new approach would trigger another public hearing. So if we'd still hear from the neighbors if they agree with it or not.
Yeah. Yes. But the conditional use permit that's in effect now would not allow you to bring in the screener and operate it for the hours you want to operate. And that's the part that would have to be addressed.
And we could make that short term. We could say, for 45 days from the time it gets on the island, we could basically dictate anything.
And it's done.
Right.
I like that idea. Not just because it's
Well,
mine.
that's kind of outside of what we need to discuss right now, I think, but that's probably the best way to go.
So, that said, I'll make a motion, well, it's on the table, so.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'll call for the question.
Just to
If you
change
vote,
the zoning.
To recommend to the Borough Assembly to change the zoning.
yes, if you vote yes, you'll recommend changing the zoning to industrial. If you vote no.
It goes to the Assembly
Yeah.
either way, but.
No.
Richard?
No.
Tor? No, sorry. Carly?
No.
Otis?
No.
Chris?
No. Okay, moving on. The proposed new agenda format. We have a motion to accept the new agenda format.
I so moved.
Second. Discussion.
I like it. Thank you.
So do I. I think it removes a lot of redundancies.
Yeah, I wondered why we didn't do that a long time ago.
Joe's leaving, but I wanted to make sure we wished him a happy birthday before he goes.
Oh, happy birthday, Joe.
Happy birthday, Joe.
But she's dedication, I came here.
All
Joe,
right.
how old are you? No.
On the record.
Oh, yeah.
All in favor of the new agenda format?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. You need a roll call on that one? Okay. Recommendation to the Borough Assembly regarding the airport parking. Do you have a motion?
I so move.
I second.
Discussion.
I think it's a great idea. I couldn't find a place to park last week.
I think it's a great idea, too. There's been a couple of times I've had to shoehorn a car in,
Yeah.
try to find a place. You want to give us a rundown on what your recommendation is?
The recommendation right now is just to pursue acquiring a lease from the state for the purpose of constructing a parking lot across the street from the airport terminal under this 17 AAC 45.130 waiver of rents and fees, Part 2, where it says a lease, license, easement, right-of-way, or permit granted to a government agency for an activity directly related to and in support of the operation of the airport. Basically, we need to get a lease from the airport, and under this...
From the state for that ground.
And then we can pursue constructing a parking lot. I've contacted PIA about possibly them doing it. So, and...
Well, I think there's a couple of different avenues to get funding for it.
Yes.
If, PIA is one, we also have the federal government access to Forest Service lands.
Yep, flat funding.
So that's a potential source of funding for it.
There's also FAA money out there, too.
Yeah, so we should be able to, find some source that would be willing to, fund this project. So it really shouldn't cost the borough anything.
Yes.
So that's, I think.
Even including the survey and design of it.
Yeah. So.
So maybe it'd be a good idea if you went to the meeting and kind of laid it out for them.
I can try. I don't have a good history of them paying any attention to me.
Well, I could go along on that one, as long as it's during a meeting that I'm going to be here.
Right. Yeah.
I would appreciate that.
When
What meeting would this go to Borough Assembly?
That's the borough clerk's call, so Debbie Thompson would be the one to schedule it, and then it's subject to the mayor's approval of the agenda, so
Yeah.
she'd be the one to decide that.
Just had a meeting last night, and their next one is on the 5th, I believe.
Yeah, the 5th of June.
Yeah, I'm out of town on the 5th of June. I'm gone for first 2 weeks of June.
Oh,
May 31st,
I'm sorry, I muted myself.
30th, the day after Memorial Day.
May 30th?
I'll be in
Okay.
town then.
Noon meetings are really hard for me to attend now that it's summertime and construction season.
Yeah. May 30th at noon?
I could possibly make it. I have a teleconference at 10 that day. But if you're for sure going to be around, I'd really like to let you have the honors.
I'll go. If it's going to be, I leave on the 2nd, but I'm here till then. All right. We need to vote on that, so.
Okay, I'll call the question.
Roll call or?
Oh, heck. Move.
I did.
I seconded. Yes.
Otis,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Carly,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to discussion items, review of proposed zoning code. Liz,
Yeah, sorry, I don't have anything for you to read.
don't have anything for us.
I know,
I
sorry.
didn't see anything. I was
I
disappointed.
didn't either, so.
I know, sorry. These last parts are very detailed, and so I didn't want
Yeah.
to give it to you with a lot of empty spaces, so
Okay.
I'll have something for the next one, though.
Thank you.
And then a planning commission seat on the Historic Preservation Committee.
Yes, there is a vacant seat on the Historic Preservation Committee that is there for a member of the Planning Commission. So if anyone is interested, you need to submit a letter to the mayor, and that's just for your information.
Is that committee even active?
Not so much. I
Okay.
think they're missing, I'm not sure if they even have a quorum at this point, honestly, because I know they're looking for quite a number of members.
Process of tearing down a 100-year-old house, so I'm probably not a good person.
I really don't have time right now.
I'm not really into another commitment.
Well, she just threw it out there. She didn't say we
Yeah.
had to.
Yeah.
Carly, you have
I
You got lots of time.
I would actually love to. I love Petersburg and its old houses, but I would like to make sure that it's actually going before I send a letter of interest.
Want me to find out?
That'd be great.
Okay.
Get back to me.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Thanks.
Could I make a motion?
Yes.
I make a motion that we designate Carly. She,
Do not pass.
It's a discussion item only, you can't vote on it.
Thank you, Nancy. Jerks.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And our next meeting is, Aaron?
Oh,
Second Tuesday?
the 20th.
Third Tuesday.
The 20th, is that correct?
Brad, here we go.
All right.
Okay.